everybody. So I just got back from my vacation at my grandmother's. I had a good time, and I thought I would show you what I got when I was there because there was a Barnes and Noble close by, and I had gift cards. And I thought I'd also show you a couple of things that I bought that weren't book related, and and all the books that I'm planning on reading for the rest of the month, and of course my what I read while I was there and finished. So first things first, let me get this out of the way. So I work at a job where I work at a grocery store at Harris Teeter, and I'm a bagger. And part of my job description is to go out and get the carts, which I have such mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, it's kind of nice to get some fresh air and not be stuck inside. And I'm moving the whole time. And when you're working at the cash register, sometimes there's periods where you're just standing there. And because I still kind of struggle with the whole bagging process, sometimes I feel overwhelmed, and I can get easily overwhelmed, and I tend to panic, and sometimes I cry and get really emotional. But so it's kind of a relief to get the carts, but then it's also hard because one, people don't put the carts in the corrals. There's in the parking lot of the bigger stores, they have those corrals where you can slip your carts in, and people don't do that. And now I know that some people have a good legitimate excuse for why they can't, just take the time and drive the cart over to the corral. Or, if you don't have that many groceries, then just leave it in that little section before you enter the store. There's where the doors are, and sometimes they have carts in that little section, so sometimes that means I also go out when there's cold weather and when it's raining weather. So I got a rain jacket for $9. There was a clearance sale at the store where we got it, and I had one of those what are they called? The ponchos. But the dog that I babysit sometimes, he can get a little feisty and likes to chew on your clothes. I mean, he's cute and all, but that can be really annoying sometimes. And he ruined and he kind of tore up the bottom of the poncho. So I wanted to get a more secure one that had stronger material. So I got this one, and it has a hood. I mean, the store does have a poncho themselves, but the hood they on their poncho, for some reason, maybe because it's a little bit bigger poncho, but it covers my eyes, so I can't really see what I'm doing, and I don't like that. So it's nice to have my own, and plus I just wanted to have my own anyway, so that, in other situations, when I'm not at work, I would normally, these last few years, I've been using something like what I'm wearing currently, that I got at the store where I went to college. So yeah, that's one of the things I got. And then I should have moved it. The other thing, I wanted to get some more spring pajamas that were actually two pieces, not just a t-shirt and some pajama pants. I wanted to get one that actually goes together. And also shorts, so I could wear, during the springtime and the summer, and won't want to throw them and, strip naked and sleep in my underwear. So, I got these. Let me show you the shirt. I had I got these when I went shopping with my grandma. Actually, she bought them, but she's like part of the club or whatever, or she'll get a discount at this place. It's a special store. And, I got these. These are really cute. It comes with shorts. And they're a little bit long. The good news is they're a little bit long. I don't feel comfortable with those, the really short shorts, like the booty shorts. I don't feel comfortable with wearing those. And plus, if we have male friends over, then, I can't wear the short shorts. I have to be, really careful so they don't crawl, because they might crawl my butt. So luckily these are pretty long. But see, it's so cute because they have dogs on them. And I am a dog person. I love dogs. I love cats too. And if I ever live on my own, I would like to get a cat because I feel like a cat would be easier to take care of because you don't have to let them out. You know, they will go to their litter box and pee, and they mostly keep to themselves. And although they will let you know from what I've heard if they want attention. So I just wanted to show you those two things that I got. Now, the rest of the stuff is, of course, books. Well, let me real quick show you the books I bought. Well, first, I couldn't resist. Getting some magnet bookmarks. As I've said in a previous video, I really like these because they feel more secure. Although you can't have too many pages within these clips because then it won't stay. That's the only problem. Other than that, I think these are much better than regular bookmarks because regular bookmarks can easily fall out. Like when you take it, you put it in your bag when you're traveling. And I really like these because they have the Celtic symbols on them, which I don't know if you can really tell. But I thought these were really cool. It was either those or there was some Wizard of Oz ones. There were some Alice in Wonderland ones. I don't know what else, but there were a few of them that had like stuff on them. But I like these best. And I kind of always liked, you know, the Celtic images and stuff like that. I always thought that was cool. Okay, so that's, sorry, there's another thing. Well, actually that was technically book related. It wasn't a book though. So, the books I got, first I'll show you the two I got with my gift card. First, let me do this one first. A third book in the Shades of Magic trilogy. Now, I haven't read the second one, but I have this thing where I don't like to read the next book if I don't have the book right after it, that comes after it. Because then if it ends on a cliffhanger, it's going to drive me crazy. So I finally got around to buying this. This is the third book. They didn't have the paperback, although I'm not one of those people who is bothered when a book is, you know, they're all mixed up in different sizes. And so, I mean, well, I am a tiny bit bothered when I have, like, the trade back edition and then the small mass market paperback edition from a series. Like, for the Kingbridge trilogy by Ken Follett. I do not know how to say his last name. I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly, but I have the mass paperback version of the first book in that trilogy, and then the other two in the trilogy, the second and third one, I have a trade paperback. So the mass market paperback is smaller than the other two. But it's not the end. It doesn't bother. But it's not like the end of the world for me. I'm not gonna freak out. I mean, it does look kind of weird on my shelf, and like I said, it does bother me a little bit. And I do like it when it is kind of very exciting when they actually match. But I mean, I have limited income, so I can't be too particular about what editions I buy. The paperback, mass paperback, or whatever paperback is less expensive. So. But this is the copy I saw as far as the first one I spotted. They didn't have I don't think they had the paperback, or I would have got that one. So this is the third one. I will be reading that is actually part of the list of books that I'm potentially going to read the rest of this month. But I don't know, because it seems like I can't really stick to a TBR. Like I try to, and I sort of do, but mostly I don't. So I guess you could argue that I'm a bit of a mood reader. Well, more than a bit, but but I do try to stick to the TBR I gave myself. That way I can, mark off that I read it. Now this one is one that if you saw, I did a video where I talked about how much I love Sound of Music, and I kind of discussed the movie a little bit. Probably not my best. I probably could have done 10 times better with that discussion and been more thorough about it, but I'm a little lazy about that. So, I've been watching, that is one of my all-time favorite movies. I can watch it on repeat several times, and I went through one of those recently, one of those periods where I did that. And I decided I wanted to learn more about the two lead actors in the movie and watch some of their other work. I was familiar with both of them beyond Sound of Music, but like with Christopher Plummer, as in any other actor, sometimes they do movies that I'm just not interested in, and I feel bad because I want to be interested if I like them in the one piece of work that they did. I want to see their other stuff. And also the fact that I know for a fact that Christopher Plummer really hated that movie, and he called it, his nickname for that movie was Sound of Music, or Sound of Mucus. And if I ever got a chance to meet him, I would like to talk to him about something other than Sound of Music, especially since he hated it at one time. Although he now appreciates it, of course, what it did for his career. So anyway, that whole prelude, I mentioned that because I got this. This is Julie Andrews' autobiography. Her memoir of my early years, which I don't know the difference between an autobiography and a memoir. So, I might look it up, or you guys can tell me in the comments if you know the difference. But, because it feels like it's kind of the same thing, because a biography is told by someone else, but an autobiography is told by the person, so I feel like it's kind of the same thing, but maybe a memoir is just more personal, and not a biography, even if it's told by the actual person, they might be more, stating the facts about their life, and it may not be written like a narrative, like a memoir. I don't know. If you guys know the difference, please feel free to put it in explain to me in the comments. But I got this, and I cannot wait to read it. I keep thinking about wanting to read it, and maybe using the whole excuse of, because normally I don't like to read books I just bought right away, but using the excuse of March is the Women's Month. Like February was Black History Month, and I think March is Women's History Month. So I'm kind of using that as an excuse to consider reading this book now. Now the last book I got was not from Barnes & Noble, but it was, I can't sure you guess that, but, was from Walmart. One of my favorite booktubers, Reagan from Peruse Projects, constantly talks about how much he loves this book, and I saw it at in the little small book section at Walmart. It was either between this or Annihilation, by that sci-fi one that is now made into a movie starring Natalie Portman. I was about to say Natalie Wood. But I decided I was more interested in this one, so I got this one. Or she talked about this. I just realized that I think this is going to be a series, because on Goodreads it has this as number 1 as the first book. So it seems to imply that it's going to be a series. But I remember she talked about how good this book was, how much she loved it, and so I saw it there, I was like, you know what, I'm going to get this. And actually, it's funny, my best friend Terry, at first, because of the umbrellas on the cover, she thought it was actually a sequel to Mary Poppins. And then another friend of ours, who I'm not technically that close with, but I'll talk to her sometimes, and we both were fans of Once at one time. She thought this was the book that Belle reads and gets lost in Beauty and the Beast: Lost in a Book. That novel that takes place when Belle's in the castle, and it's after the Beast has given her the library, and she discovers the book and reads the book and gets sucked into its world. And because, I think she thought that because of the title, because it's the same title, but it has nothing to do with that. And at the time I was tired, so I was a little irritated about that, and her being like, oh, it's the book that Belle reads. And plus, she's also someone that is kind of obsessed, even more obsessed than I am, with Beauty and the Beast, and particularly the Once Upon a Time version, because she's, particularly more so Robert Carlyle than anything else. Which, it's not, it's, it's Robert Carlyle, if you're familiar with him as an actor, then you'll know why I said it the way I did just now. But it's just, to me, I don't obsess over the same actor for too long. I mean, I'll always come back to the actors that I fall in love with, but I've since moved on from Robert Carlyle. I've gone from him to Brent Spiner, and so on and so forth. I've even moved. I mean, I still love Brent Spiner as an actor. I want to see more of his work, but I've since, I don't have an actor that I'm currently obsessing over right now. I mean, even Christopher Plummer, I'm not obsessing over him at the moment, despite. It's more than I'm just obsessing over Sound of Music. So I got this one at Walmart. It's great, and and of course Walmart is a little bit cheaper, so it's easier to get a hardback there. Okay, so now on to what I read. So first, I finished 2 books. Well, I was there. First, I read Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. I'm just going to keep this on my lap. Dang it. I don't have a lot of space. Which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Now, when this first came out and when it was first popular, I think there were a lot of polarizing opinions. You either loved it or you hated it. And I'm in the camp of loving this. I love this retelling. It's a lot closer to the original fairy tale than the Disney movie, but there are aspects in the book that remind me of the Disney movie. So in this one, it's about this girl, Nyx, she was born to assassinate, to kill, or whatever, the beast, the demon, not beast, he's actually a demon, the demon prince who rules the land Arcadia where they live, which is kind of like a mix of Greek and Roman. And she's supposed to marry this guy, not just kill him. So when she marries, she goes through the whole marriage reluctantly, and meets the demon Inkfinex. I don't know how to say his name, and his servant, a shadow by the name of Shade. And Inkfinex is like, you won't be able to kill me, but you can set me free, set me and yourself and I, or proper English people, set yourself and me. Okay, forget. I don't know what the correct way to say that is. Set us free, you and your people free, if you guess my name, my true name, because he's actually like a cursed, like in the Beauty and the Beast, he's a cursed prince. And she's like, and basically, if you don't guess my name, then you're dead. So while she's trying to figure out a way around this and to get out of her, she starts befriending and is drawn to Shade, and he tries to help her in the best way, because he can't technically help her too much, but he helps her a little bit to figure out, what she needs to figure out to escape and to defeat Inkfinex. But at the same time, after he saves her life from the shadow children of a bigger, worse demon, and he almost risked his own life, just like in the Disney movie. That's where it's related, where I feel like there's a little reference to the Disney movie. The two of them start to get to know each other and fall, and she finds herself drawn to him as well, despite how she hates him and it's kind of his fault that her mother died. So she kind of caught between the two, the shadow, caught between Shade and Inkfinex. And that's basically what it's about. It's, like I said, it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And it kind of also reminds me a little bit of Once Upon a Time's version of the Beauty and the Beast storyline, where Rumpelstiltskin is the Beast in this story. And, I know in the original fairy tale, he seems to be this creepy old man, imp little guy, but in Once Upon a Time, he used to be a regular guy, a man, a spinner, and with a son, and he only became the Dark One, the evil entity that he is the rest of the show, because he made a deal he tried to he sacrificed himself to the evil, the original Dark One that came before him to protect his son, because his son, the Duke, was going to send his son, who was only 13 at the time, onto the battlefield. And from his own experiences, he knows that that's not that great. I mean, of course, you would have to be an idiot to not realize that when you go to war, you're either going to come back, broken and wounded mentally or physically, or you're going to die on the battlefield. I mean, of course, in these type of stories, it's all about dying in glory and all that good stuff. And I mean, I don't get that, of course, But anyway, I say that it's similar to that because the whole guessing of his name, and Rumpelstiltskin is all about riddles, and he makes the deal with the miller's daughter. He's like, you don't have to give me your baby if you can guess my name. So it kind of reminded me of that. I'm wondering if Rosamund Hodge had watched the show and realized they were connecting Rumpelstiltskin's storyline and the Beauty and the Beast storyline, and maybe that's where she got it from. I don't know. But like I said, I really enjoyed this. I thought I liked the dark elements. I love the Infinex's house. I think it's so cool and so creepy and weird, and I just think it's really cool. I think it's a well-written story. It's a quick read. That's why I read it first, because when I was looking at it, I realized that I'll probably get through it really quickly. The chapters were really short, and it was kind of fast-paced. I mean, there were periods where it wasn't fast, but it was mostly a fast-paced novel. And I love the interpretation, and I also love the whole references to Greek and Roman myths and stuff and legends. I mean, the only complaint I would probably have is that there were times where I had to think about it for a minute, what was going on, like the whole mythology and stuff. And it kind of has a little bit of a fairy tale. I mean, it is based on it. It's a retelling of a fairy tale. But there's a fairy tale with the myth where they're talking about all the myths and legends. Like, there's a reference to, they talk about Pandora, although I think she has I think she's still called Pandora, but instead of a box, it's a jar that she has. So I thought I liked it, and I want to read Crimson Beauty as well. I want to read that one. I like Rosamund Hodge's writing. I don't know what else she's written besides these two, but I'll have to figure it out later. But so yeah, sorry, I don't have a lot of criticisms because I loved it and I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. And then the one I just finished last night was The Circle by David Eggers. This is kind of a sci-fi, kind of dystopian story about this young woman in her 20s who gets a job at this huge company. It's basically our world, except for it's probably considered more in the distant future, where there's this company called The Circle, which is a company that has this philosophy of no secrets. You know everything about everybody. It's for the good of the world, because if you know everything about everybody, then there will be no secrets kept. They can catch the bad guys, and you will never do anything immoral and stuff. Immoral, not immortal. Immoral. And they're very very open, and it's basically Facebook meets Instagram meets Twitter meets YouTube meets Tumblr, maybe a little bit of Goodreads in there, all rolled into one big company. And the company makes the problem is that the company is all about controlling everything. Like a monopolizing kind of thing. But the character of May, the main girl, gets really caught up in this, and she falls in love with this company and what they believe in. But her ex-boyfriend and her parents aren't so sure about it. And her ex-boyfriend, who is a bit arrogant and a bit condescending in the way he talks to her, tries to reason with her and get her to see that this company, something is wrong with this company, and they cannot play God. They can't control everything. But May, of course, is already kind of bitter towards this guy and very, like, and she realizes that they can't, but so she won't listen to him when he tries to tell her that this company is bad. And it's just, it's a very disturbing book. It kind of, it makes a reference in one of the blurbs. It mentioned this too. This is probably what got me thinking along this line. So this is a lot like 1984, and I was never disturbed or creeped out by Hunger Games. It didn't bother me. It didn't scare me. Like, I thought it was just really cool, and it kind of, I felt about Hunger Games the way I would feel about, like, a fantasy, whereas yes, it was a dangerous, scary adventure, and I was worried for my favorite characters, but at the same time, it didn't feel, it didn't feel like too close to home, like this book did, and the same thing with 1984. Well, in fact, this one even more so than 1984, because we are in the digital age, where we are on Facebook and YouTube. I mean, I'm doing a YouTube video right now. And, I have a Tumblr account, which I rarely go on. And it's all about, and this is basically like what would happen if those all combined and became and owned us practically. Not just us being, spending, it's very creepy, and it's a future that could potentially happen if we aren't careful. So I think this is definitely a very important read, and I feel like it will be a classic. I mean, I could be wrong, but just with the premise and stuff, I feel like it could be a classic that people could study in schools. Now, my only problem with the book is that the book is divided into 3 sections. Book 1, Book 2, and Book 3. And Book 1 was really long. He's basically like slowly showing May becoming part of this company. And her slowly becoming one with the company and becoming one of them, their mindless zombies, and not zombies in a way that, not in the way they are in 1984, because these people are very intelligent. In 1984, I feel like the people in there, like all of Winston's friends, were all kind of mindless idiots that were happily oblivious to their idiocy. With this one, it was more like they were idiots, but they were also highly intelligent people. They were capable of making these cameras and these machines and programs that could keep an eye on people and protect them. So back to the criticisms. It was book 1, maybe it was necessary for it to be that long, but it just felt really long. And book 2 was a little bit shorter. Book 3 was only a few pages. So that's my only problem, is it was really long, and I don't like it when books don't have distinguishing chapters. I mean, I'll still read them and get through them, and I will still enjoy them, but sometimes I just get impatient, and that will lead to me cheating and reading the last sentence of the book, which is what I did. But I was still, despite the fact that I cheated, I was still surprised by the ending, because I thought, after I read that little couple sentences, so more than one sentence, to be fair, I thought it was going to end differently than the way it ended. So I really enjoyed this. I think, did I update? I don't think I did the Goodreads. I think I did. Yeah, I did. And I don't know, maybe not. I'll have to check. But yeah, I think I'll give this 4 stars. Because yes, I was surprised by the ending, but it wasn't exactly the ending I wanted. Which, okay, that's probably a stupid reason to give something 4 stars, but also because it was a little, like, the first part was a bit long for my taste, and I didn't like that there was no distinguishing chapters. So, okay, so I'm currently reading Crest, the 3rd book of the Lunar Chronicles. I already read this, and I probably don't need to explain what this one is about. It's my favorite book in the series, and Crest and Thorn are my favorite couple, and they're definitely 2 of my favorite characters. I like other characters, but I love all the characters. But of course, when people ask the question, "Who are your favorite characters?" you feel like you have to pick. and you can't just say all of the characters. I mean, there are some people that probably don't feel that way, but I'm one of those people who does, who feels like I have to at least pick, so be selective, and not just say all my characters. But I'm as far as where they've gone into where they're in the Sahara Desert in Africa, and Cress has just been kidnapped, and Wolf has woken up. And Dr. Erlin is trying to, talking to Cinder about preparing to take on Queen Lavana and take her place on the throne. Okay, so then, let's see. And I'm also started reading while driving in the car. I started reading this one, The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I haven't got very far. I'm only the first 4 chapters. If you're living under a rock, then I'll tell you what this is about. It's about, this 16-year-old girl whose grandmother writes these stories, these fairy tales, and she has been, what's her name? What is her name? Alice has always been told to stay away from the Hazelwood, even though, she believes that these stories are, like, fake. They're not real, but she's told as if they are real to stay away from them. So her grandmother has just died, and that's basically, and her mom her mom is thinking, oh, I'm finally free, which drives me crazy when characters, like, the certain character that seems like they're the ones that dragged the other characters into the whole crazy mess that is, that the story's about. And then they're like, oh, they're gone, now I'm free. Or like when a character is like, oh, well, I'm gonna walk away from all this crazy stuff, thinking, oh, the bad guys aren't gonna bother me because I've chosen to walk away. I mean, that happened in season 4, I think. Yeah, season 4 of Supernatural. If you're familiar, if you're familiar with where, like, the character Castiel has just been taken out of the human guy Jimmy's body, and he's thinking, oh, now I can go back to my family, and the angels and the demons are gonna leave me alone. Like, no, dude, you really think that the angels and demons are just gonna leave you alone? I mean, I get that a lot of times these characters are so desperate to escape this crazy situation that they're in, that they will believe that, ooh, that person is gone now, so I'm free. It's like, no, you're not. I know, I've seen enough and read enough in these stories to know that people are never free in these stories. When they think they are the bad guys, just because and it's the same thing with those situations where the person is like, stay away from me, and pushes the other person that's all in love with them away because, oh, I have to protect you. But then they think, but really, if you think about it, the bad guys aren't going to leave them alone because they still know that you're connected to this person, that the two of you love each other. So it's like, you really think that, oh, I'm not with them anymore, so they're going to think, oh, you don't love that person, you've abandoned them, so, we're not going to bother them because you don't want them anymore. It's like, no, it's going to make them even more inclined to kidnap that person or hurt that person. It just frustrates me when characters do that. Okay, alright, so I was going to talk about the books I might potentially read next, but this video is getting to be kind of long, and I don't want to get it past the 40-minute mark. So I'm going to stop right here, and hopefully this video will upload, and I will make another video that is about the books that I'm thinking about reading next, the rest of this month. Alright, so I will talk to you guys later. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Bye!